Hello, say hi, Olivia.
Hi.
Olivia is here. She's very excited to join us today and going to be doing some exercises. So we're going to start off with the Psoas. And the Psoas, if you were here on Tuesday, you know, and maybe you've seen a previous video of mine, but the Psoas, a lot of people don't train it properly. They just statically stretch it. So they just reef on it. Oftentimes, especially with the Psoas, that just ends up just reefing on the hip joint capsule. So we want to get this muscle, just like every other muscle in our body, working through the range of motion that it needs, that you need for your life, your sport, and to be strengthened through that full range of motion so it provides that joint with stability, the hip joint. The psoas is a flexor of the hip, okay, hip flexion, and it's also an extensor of the lumbar spine. Okay, so it performs those two functions. In terms of just the muscle, it's not just movements, but it also contributes to stability of the lumbar spine. Okay, when it contracts, it comes from the lumbar spine into the hip. When it contracts, it just tightens up. Whenever we tighten something, a joint up, it's more stable. Whenever the muscles around that joint contract, the joint is more stable. So lumbar spine, we know a lot of people have low back pain. If your psoas isn't working, you've lost that muscle and its contribution to lumbar spine stability, which is not good. Especially if we're sitting all the time, you're losing that function because you're sitting in this hip flexed position, the muscle shortens up, but the problem is it shortens up and it's not getting any stronger. It's not being used. So it's in this short position, it's weak, and it can't contribute to stability of the lumbar spine, and you have difficulty extending the hip because it's all adapted to this shortened position. So we're gonna try to fix all that today, and it doesn't happen in just one session. You got to work it. That's why I repeat these workouts Tuesday, Friday. So those of you who join me on both days, you're getting that, at least that second repetition of the routine and of the exercises. Okay, practice makes perfect. So first exercise. Okay, so you need a seat for this one. You can sit on a bench. The wheelie chair actually worked out all right last time. So what we're going to do is we're going to get that psoas activated before we start to strengthen it and integrate it into other movement patterns. Activation of the psoas. Sit slumpy to start. Sit all slumpy. We're going to work the left knee. You're going to place your hand on the inside of the knee on the VMO here, and you're going to push the knee into the hand to activate the muscles around here. Okay, the psoas should be a part of that. And then hold that activation strong as you extend the lumbar spine. And I'll show you a side view in a second. And you get up tall. So you keep activating. That's going to train that psoas to do that extension movement, because we usually don't use the psoas for that movement pattern. Okay, we use the lumbar extensors predominantly for that. And then relax. Go back into slumpy. I'm going to turn to the side here so you can see the spine, the lumbar spine move. So I'm going to activate. And I like to hold activation exercises for 5 to 10 seconds, or as long as it takes to get the activation going. Okay, push the knee into the hands. You feel the muscle kind of contract up in this area, and then extend the lumbar spine, anteriorly tilt the pelvis. Keep that activation going, don't let it go, and hold. And then relax. Okay, we're going to do one more on this side. Ready? Let the knee flop out a little bit into external rotation and horizontal extension, and that's going to preferentially recruit the psoas over the TFL. Okay, TFL is more lateral, psoas, iliopsoas is more medial. Okay, activate, push the knee into the hand, feel that muscle contract, and then from slumpy to extended, hyperextended. Instagram pose. Hold it, strong activation, fire that guy up, and we're going to get it working in a bit. Okay, loosen up. Let's do the other side. Let the knee flop out a little bit. Slump down, press as if you're going to lift your foot off the ground, but don't actually lift it off the ground. Keep it right where it is. And then from slouchy to up tall, chest out, Yeah. While you're holding, breathe. Okay, and relax. Let's do it again. Back up. Push into the knee. Activate. And then extend. Put your hand on your knee. And then push into it. Sure. Hold it, and then relax. Let's do one more. It's always good to get a little more activation than not enough. Okay, push into the knee. Activate the hip flexion movement, the hip flexors that do that movement. And then go into extension. Now here, into extension, the psoas is shortening. So we're training that muscle for movement and control. Hold it, and then gradually let it go. Okay, that's very important to gradually ramp up the activation and then gradually let it go. It just builds kinesthetic awareness. It builds force control. So your ability to contract a muscle through its range of force. Because if you're just going from 0 to 100 all the time, you don't have that graded ability to control the force contraction. Okay, so that's psoas activation. Supine leg slide. You're gonna lie flat. Now when we do this movement, often it's a lot of hamstring, a lot of rec fem, but we wanna get the psoas fired up here. The psoas not only contributes to these movements of hip flexion, lumbar extension, lumbar spine stabilization, but it also helps to keep the head of the femur centered in the joint centration. Okay, that's really important to avoid impingement issues. So here, think of activating the psoas. We just fired it up, so it's all this musculature deep in here that we might not be too familiar with, but you're going to get really familiar with it. And then activate that to flex the hip. And right away, you might feel a little more extension, a little more anterior pelvic tilt in terms of your positioning, okay? So we're gonna do a couple of these, that's one. So you're focusing on the psoas. The hamstrings are gonna work too, that's fine. But just sliding the feet down on the floor, not pushing into the floor, focusing on psoas activations in this area. Okay, now we're gonna do that with the hip bridge. So y'all know a simple hip bridge. Watch first, unless you know it, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna keep the psoas on the whole time. So psoas is on, plant the feet on the ground, keep the psoas on as you slowly extend and go as high as you can while maintaining psoas activation. So you should feel it in there, still activated. Now this might not be as high as you can go, and that's good, that's fine. Keep the psoas on as you lower down, and then keep the psoas on now as you eccentrically contract. So think of sucking the thigh, the leg into the hip joint, the head of the femur into the hip joint. Let's go again. So up, psoas is on. I've got my fingers here to help with the activation and the awareness. Keep it on as I extend the hips. So now you'll feel probably a really strong glute contraction. You got the psoas kind of pulling the head of the femur into the hip joint, holding, breathing, and then lowering down slowly, and then extend out. Let's go again, leg slide. Okay, a little too much in front, sweetie. Okay, feet flat, hips up. Hold, psoas is on, glutes are on, lower down. And down. Again, one more. Slide in, psoas. Lift up, keep the psoas on, go slowly into the bridge as high as you can while maintaining activation. Remember, suck the head of the femur into the hip joint, hold it, and then lower down under control. Keep the psoas on as you lengthen it to train that eccentric control, okay? So that's the supine leg slide to hip bridge technique, and that's great for control, teaching joint centration. Not yet. Joint centration, maintaining the hip flexors on while the glutes are on, because if you do that, and I did this on Tuesday, should have done it here today to do the example, but if you get, fire up the glutes hard and you don't have the antagonist to keep the balance around the joint, what's going to happen is it's going to pop the head of the femur anteriorly. Okay, you're gonna basically turn this into it's like a hinge. It just pops it out in the front, and that's going to put some strain on the joint capsule. And if you're always in this position where you're out of alignment, and it's not like a huge amount, but it's just a little bit that it's out of alignment. You've got decreased efficiency of movement, essentially, which will make you more tired faster, which will put more strain on the tissues and result in wear and tear quicker. So we don't want that stuff. All right, so that's the supine leg slide to hip bridge. What do we got next? What you got? Number 3, supported Psoas sweeps, 3x3 sweeps. So for this technique, you'll need a wall to support yourself on. I'm going to use this beam right here. I'm going to use this beam to support myself and push myself against. You see I have a little bit of a body lean right there. Okay, just a little bit. You don't need too much. You don't need to be like down here right now. You can progress to that, but right now we're just going for control. So a little bit of lean. What this is going to do, and I want you to push away so the scapular protracted. You activate that serratus anterior. Push away, and then we're going to do just a straight hip flexion. And think of activation of the psoas. Now, if you get too much lateral, TFL, hip flexor, lateral hip flexor, which is TFL, just open the hip up a little bit, externally rotate just a touch, and that's going to preferentially recruit the iliopsoas. Okay, so let's switch sides. Activate that iliopsoas. You've got to think about all you're doing is moving the leg. Everything else stays still. So you're strong and stable through the foot, through the support leg here, through the core, through the shoulders, and down. Okay. We'll just do 2 activations on each side in this position so you can get used to the good body alignment without movement. And switch, holding for about 5 or so. Not super tight on activation time, 4 seconds versus 5.2 seconds. Just generally. The key is focusing on firing the muscles up. Okay, so supported Psoas sweep. What we're going to do is I'll show you just this angle here. Up, same thing, body stays perfectly still. Slowly, horizontally extend the hip. Don't let anything else move, the pelvis, the supporting leg, core, spine, or anything. That's 1. We're going to do 3. The whole time I'm thinking of driving the knee up to the ceiling. 2. Under control through the full range. Don't use any momentum. Push that range at the end. 3. Keeping the knee as high as possible throughout. Okay? Show you this angle. Flex the hip. Get it as high as possible and keep it high as I'm horizontally extending. So it's all about activation here. Continually, even if it's not moving, trying to get the knee as high as possible. It's difficult when you do it. And relax. So shake it out a little bit. Okay, you can go play now, okay? Thanks. Okay, next little set here. Flex the hip. Keep it high, drive the knee to the ceiling, horizontally extend, and then sweep it in. Sweep it out, and sweep it in. And then 1 more, sweep it out, get out as far as you can. Keep the knee up high, keep the knee up high, and down. Other side, flex the hip, keep the leg straight, horizontally extend, Don't let yourself lose this hip position. And down. Okay. So this is going to train your psoas to be active all throughout this range of motion. Okay, which is great if you're throwing kicks and you got to come up and around. Okay, you need some psoas on for that. Also, when you're in the squat, to be able to throw your leg around here. So hockey, skating, going out wide. It's called the heel to toe or heel to heel tomahawk. Being able to move with your hips out here, lift your legs, put them where you need them so you can cut really quickly. I love hockey. Really important. Okay, so it's a pattern that is used in kind of higher levels, more advanced skills in various sports. For regular people, I mean, it's all about use it or lose it. Might as well keep the ranges of motion, which gives us more movement options. No matter what we're doing, if we find ourselves having to turn and catch something that's falling, like a kid falling off a ladder, which didn't really happen today. I had the kids on the ladder. We're looking for stuff to do. But whatever it is, you've got those movement options, the ability to move and be stable without losing control. So that's the supported psoas sweep. Next up, one of my favorites, Supine Hip PNF, number 4 there. So this is going to integrate the psoas into the full range of hip motion, because we're going to be circling around and going all through internal and external rotation. So the hip joint is going through almost everything it's capable of. Just losing a little bit of extension, missing a bit of extension. That's it. Okay. So lying down, supine. For this one, keys are both knees stay straight the whole time. Do not flex the knees. That's really critical to keep the motion at the hip joint and to keep the tension on the hip joint nice and solid. Once you bend the knee, all those 2 joint muscles are relaxing and flexing, contracting. You're losing stability in the hip joint because a lot of muscles cross both the knee and the hip, like the rectus femoris, hamstrings, some of the little muscle, I think it's the sartorius. So both knees stay straight. What you're going to do to start is lift the one leg off the ground, get your arm out of the way, externally rotate, and then start to lift the leg up, but keep the leg as close to the ground as possible. So if you're super flexible, you might be able to slide the leg on the ground the whole time. Get as high as you can. I gotta watch my mic here. And then sweep it in front. Keep the ankle relaxed so you don't stress the sciatic nerve. And then going across the body, internal rotation of femur. So turn the femur down until you get back to the start, and then you repeat. So that's one sweep. Keeping both knees straight. Now think of the weight through your butt cheeks is even the whole time. Weight through the butt cheeks is nice and even. So I'm not tilted on my left butt cheek here when I'm outside, or that same side. And when I come across the body, I'm not tilting more on my right butt cheek, but I'm trying to keep the sit bones even, okay? Now, let's go in the other direction, same leg. Internal rotation, adduction, then flex the hip, go as high as you can, nice and slow. You should be matching my pace, not beating me. Flex the hip, keep both knees straight, weights even on the butt cheeks. Keep tight through the glutes, through the psoas. We'll do one more. Breathing the whole time. Try and keep the neck relaxed. Out wide, as wide as possible. Keeping tight, knees straight, which maintains stability and through the hip. Okay, that's one side. Other side. Start with external rotation. So turning the femur out and then lift up. Across, keep the knee straight. Internal rotation and down. A little pop in the hip there, feel good. Up, both knees straight, contracting through the quads, the glutes on both sides to maintain full stability here. And think of actually, when you're coming down, you're trying to push the leg down slowly, and that'll help you with the co-contraction. So here I'm coming across and then I'm coming down. I'm thinking of pushing the leg down, not just controlling it. And that'll increase the stability. Okay. And then inside, internal rotation, adduction, hip flexion, to external rotation, abduction, until I'm all the way down. Breathing. Two, and then one more. Any questions you have, save them for after, if you can. Breathing, stay connected to the body, keeping the hip joint solid, all those muscles tight and active as you're moving around. Okay, so that's the supine hip PNF. So let's just review quickly what we went through here. Activated the psoas in the sitting position. Then we went to, what did we do? We did the supine leg slides to the hip bridge. So again, very isolated movement to train that hip joint centration. So you could feel how maybe you didn't go as high on the bridge as you normally would, but you should be able to feel a little more, let's say, call it stability in through the hip joint. Sometimes people would report to me, you do the hip bridge, they feel a little kind of like soreness in the front of the hip, but once the psoas is active, keeps that joint centered, that soreness goes away. It's just stressing out the joint capsule in the front of the hip. Okay, then we went to the supported sweeps. So that's integrating total body stability with movement of the hip. So we had the psoas on, and then we're going into the horizontal extension. So we're training a stable core, stable spine, stable body, while able to move the hip. So that's dynamic. I term that dynamic core stability. And if you've been through spine control, then you know what that's all about. But we've got to have the ability to keep this core stable while everything else is moving. Arms, legs, ankles, all that stuff. Okay. Then we went to supine hip PNF, totally integrating what we're working here in through the full range. It's not just psoas, that exercise, it's everything. But we're getting the psoas, which we just worked, integrated into the full range of movement of the hip joint. So next workout, Tuesday at 8 p.m. Okay. If you are here on YouTube, you can subscribe, turn on the bell, you should be notified of that. If you want email notifications, if you're not on my email newsletter list, then head on over to precisionmovement.coach. Thank you. And you can sign up for the newsletter. That way you can get email notifications as well, so you don't miss this. Number two, what we're going to be doing next week is some exercises. I designed the workout and the routine today to, if you've got tight pecs, it's going to be really helpful for tight pecs. So all my brothers out there and sisters who have done too many bench presses, too many push-ups in their lifetime, this is going to be really helpful for you. To do that, we're going to be strengthening rotator cuff muscles because the pecs are an internal rotator of the shoulder. So to fight that, we need external rotation strength, and that's it's a common imbalance in the shoulders. Strong internal rotators because it's the pecs and the lats, teres major, subscap, subscap, compared to external rotators, which is like teres minor, infraspinatus, supraspinatus, much smaller muscles. So we're going to help to rebalance the shoulder joint there. We're also going to get the serratus anterior working and do a little bit of a workout like we did today. So A couple things. Psoas, if you want to get not just the psoas, but the hips working properly, check out my hip control course. Go to precisionmovement.coach. Look down below in the description. You'll find a link to that. And the foundation by Neuroflux and my friend Daniel Gallucci, who works with NHL players, MLB players, basically professional athletes from every major sport in the world. This program is amazing. I've gone through it, definitely feel better overall, but little things like balance, single leg balance is improved. My eye, what I've noticed is changing from something that's close to me to something that's far away. My ability to focus is quicker, so I can rapidly go back and forth. And just check it out. Go to neuroflux.io, neuroflux.io. You'll find the link down below. Okay, so thanks for watching me. Anybody who's got a balance take off, thanks for joining us, and hopefully I'll see you on Tuesday.